What does inadmissibility mean, and how does it impact Canadian immigration? Inadmissibility means that a person has been found inadmissible. They are barred from entering Canada. If a person is already in Canada and something happens that makes them inadmissible, they can be removed from the country. In the case of permanent residents, they can lose their permanent residence status. Inadmissibility issues often arise in the context of other immigration applications. For example, a previous criminal conviction may impact the ability of a Canadian citizen to sponsor their spouse for permanent resident status. So, why is someone inadmissible? Let's break it down. First, a person may be found inadmissible because they pose a security risk to the country. This includes things like involvement with espionage, attempts to overthrow a government, violence, or membership in an organization involved in any of these security threats. Next, a person may be found inadmissible due to human or international rights violations. And this makes sense, right? This is going to include things like war crimes, crimes against humanity, or even being a senior official in a government that's involved in gross human rights violations or that's subject to international sanctions. Third, and this is the one that comes up the most in our office, a person who is criminally inadmissible is not allowed to enter or stay in Canada because they have committed or been convicted of a crime for which they have not received a record suspension, which we used to call pardons, or they have not been rehabilitated under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. Criminal inadmissibility includes crimes committed inside and outside of Canada. Another reason for inadmissibility is involvement in organized crime. So this includes membership in an organization that takes part in organized transnational criminal activity, things like people smuggling, trafficking in persons, or money laundering. This is an interesting one, medical inadmissibility. Medical inadmissibility might happen for 3 reasons. First, if the person is likely to be a danger to public health. This is going to look at the spread of the disease or the impact it could have on persons living in Canada, with the classic example being tuberculosis. 2, if they're likely to be a danger to public safety, so whether the medical condition would likely result in sudden incapacity or unpredictable or violent behavior, think schizophrenia. Or 3, if they might reasonably be expected to cause excessive demand on Canada's health or social services. Excessive demand means that their need for services to treat their condition would negatively affect medical wait times in Canada, or the cost to treat them would likely cost more than the Canadian average cost per person for health and social reasons. Financial concerns may result in inadmissibility. So basically, when the person just does not have the income necessary to support themselves and the government thinks it's likely that they'll need to rely on social welfare programs. The burden of proof is on the applicant to show that they are not financially inadmissible. Misrepresentation occurs when an individual is found to have provided false or misleading information on an immigration application, or if they withheld important information. An individual who is found to have committed misrepresentation may be barred from entering Canada for up to 5 years. If they are already in Canada, they may be removed from the country for misrepresentation. Another reason for inadmissibility is failing to comply with any provision of the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. This is the kind of thing that might occur, for example, if temporary residents overstay their visa or work in Canada without the proper permits. Finally, a person may be found inadmissible if they have a family member who is inadmissible. This doesn't sound fair sometimes, but unfortunately it's our truth. Except in a few limited situations, an inadmissible family member, whether or not they are inside of Canada, will make the principal applicant inadmissible. If you have any questions about inadmissibility or you'd like to speak to a lawyer, schedule a strategy session at www.csulegal.com.